Hello everyone, I'm Singbe Park, a philosopher of science at UNIST, Ulsan National Institute of Science and Technology. In this video, I briefly summarize Chapter 7 of my book, Embracing Scientific Realism. The target viewers of this video are the epistemologists and philosophers of science who have already published and aim to publish more on scientific realism and scientific understanding. The nature of scientific understanding is an emerging topic for epistemologists and philosophers of science. In this chapter, I defend a new position that I called epistemism. It holds that we understand explananda in terms of explanantia, provided that they are true and we justifiably believe them. Epistemism has two interesting implications. First, belief, justification, and truth are ingredients of scientific understanding. Second, scientific anti-realists cannot understand phenomena in terms of a scientific theory because they don't believe it. Anti-epistemists argue that acceptance rather than belief is required for understanding. To believe a proposition is to feel it to be true, whereas to accept a proposition is to adopt a policy of using it for certain purposes. For example, a lawyer may believe that her client is guilty, but in court, she may accept that her client is not guilty. Similarly, scientists may believe that quantum mechanics is false, but they may accept it, i.e., they may adopt a policy of using it for certain scientific purposes. Let me make 3 comments on this suggestion. First, when there is no belief, there is no understanding, and there is instead pretending. Second, when there is no belief, there is no scientific understanding, and there is instead fictional understanding. Third, in certain cases, it is immoral merely to accept a proposition and then to act on it. Anti-epistemists claim that understanding doesn't require justification, and that it instead requires explanation or prediction. Thus, we can understand explananda in terms of explanantia, although we are not justified in believing them. Let me make 2 comments on this suggestion. First, there is a significant difference between giving an explanation and reporting an explanation. For example, you are giving an explanation when you say the tiny bodies move around because they collide with molecules. By contrast, you are reporting an explanation when you say, according to the kinetic theory, the tiny bodies move around because they collide with molecules. When you give an explanation, you are implying that you are justified in believing the explanation. By contrast, when you report an explanation, you aren't. Second, if you are not justified in believing your explanation, others will not take your explanation seriously. Suppose the scientists submit a manuscript to a journal. In the manuscript, they state that they are not justified in believing the experimental data and a hypothesis, but they accept them for the purposes of giving an explanation and prediction. As a result, they understand the experimental data in terms of the hypothesis. In my view, such a manuscript is subject to a desk reject. Anti-epistemists claim that understanding doesn't require truth. They observe that scientists use models that diverge significantly from their target systems. For example, the kinetic model of gas holds that a gas consists of spherical molecules. Anti-epistemists claim that a model, although false, generates scientific understanding. Anti-epistemists also claim that past and present theories are false on the basis of the pessimistic induction. But they argue that although they are false, they generate understanding. Let me make a comment on this suggestion. Models and false theories don't generate understanding. They rather generate misunderstanding because they are false. However, if they are approximately true, they generate approximate understanding. If they are completely false, they generate complete misunderstanding. Anti-epistemists observe that a false theory can explain and predict phenomena. On the basis of this observation, they conclude that understanding requires explanation and prediction, but not the 3 ingredients of knowledge, namely belief, justification, and truth. Let me raise 2 objections to this suggestion. First, Anti-epistemists owe us an account of scientific explanation and prediction that doesn't invoke the three ingredients of knowledge. They cannot appeal to Hampel's deductive nomological model of explanation because it says that an explanans should be good grounds for believing that an explanandum occurs. Second, anti-epistemists owe us an account of when misunderstanding arises. They might suggest that misunderstanding arises when a theory fails to explain or predict phenomena. An obvious flaw with this suggestion is that if a theory fails to explain or predict phenomena, we usually throw it out. Once it is thrown out, it doesn't even have a chance to have an impact on our minds, which implies it doesn't even have a chance to generate misunderstanding. Let me distinguish between observational understanding and theoretical understanding. Observational understanding arises when both an explanandum and an explanans are observational events. By contrast, theoretical understanding arises when an explanandum and or an explanans are theoretical events. For example, a theoretical understanding results from the theoretical explanation that a proton has mass because it interacts with the Higgs field. Both observational understanding and theoretical understanding are available for scientific realists. By contrast, only observational understanding is available for scientific anti-realists. This advantage of scientific realism over anti-realism is summarized in my slogan: I believe more, therefore I understand more. I just summarized Chapter 7 of my book, Embracing Scientific Realism. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.